Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Tipped. Julian here for the very last waiver wire video of the year. This is the waiver wire video for week 26, part 2. So this is the waiver wire video if you're playing the second part of week 26, which runs from Monday, April 15th to Thursday, April 18th. Thursday is the very last day of the NHL season, and generally I don't recommend playing this week for fantasy hockey purposes because there might be some stars that are rested this week, and that could really make your fantasy final kind of anticlimactic. But I know a lot of you still are playing this week, so I'm going to do my best to suggest the best players that you guys can be adding in order to ensure victory this week. Now, for those of you who have been watching all season, I really do appreciate all of you who have been loyal and following me all year and for multiple years. If you have been following me for multiple years, I really appreciate, guys. And I'm going to be back next year. I'm going to continue to put out the best content that I can to keep this channel going and keep you guys winning your fantasy hockey leads. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for watching this year, and thanks for watching this final waiver wire episode. Let's jump right into it and let's take a look at the schedule, guys. So like I said, there are only 4 days of games from Monday to Thursday. After that, the regular season of the NHL is actually over. On Monday, there are 8 games. On Tuesday, there are also 8 games. Wednesday, there are 4. And Thursday, there are 6. So technically, the off nights are Wednesday and Thursday, but you probably have room in your lineup all 4 nights. Obviously, check Monday and Tuesday just in case you do have a full lineup, but in all likelihood, you're probably going to be able to add players from basically any team because you probably have room in your lineup. Now, guys, the team with the best schedule this week, and there's only one, it's the Edmonton Oilers. They're the only team to play 3 games in the second half of the week. And I already recommended stocking up on Oilers in the first part of the week because I told you guys that the Oilers are going to have a great schedule and no other team plays more than 2 games. A lot of teams play 2 and a lot of teams only play 1 game as well. So stocking up on Oilers this week is a really good idea. And if you have Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl on your team, you're looking really good already to win the Fantasy Hockey Championship. Now, I did mention that there are some teams that only play 1 game, and those teams are Anaheim, Arizona, Buffalo, Carolina, Colorado, Columbus, Dallas, Florida, Nashville, New Jersey, New York Rangers, Philadelphia, and St. Louis. These teams all only play 1 single game this week, so really not super ideal of a schedule. And if you watch my drops episode, it's going to come out probably a day or 2 after I release this. I go through some players that you can consider dropping from these teams right away. I will definitely go a little bit more into detail about that in that video because you want to make sure to be dropping the right players to be adding the right players and make sure that you win this week. Now let's jump into some forward options. Before I say anything, guys, I included only players who play 2 games or more this week, and the first guy on this list is Evander Kane. He hasn't been all that amazing lately, although a couple games ago when I'm recording this, he did score 2 goals, which is great. He's playing only on the 3rd line, but does still put up a pretty decent floor with shots and with hits. And I think Evander Kane is a very good hockey player. And like I said, guys, the Oilers have a great schedule. They have 3 games this week, which is more than any other team. Next is Bryan Rust of the Pittsburgh Penguins. And Bryan Rust is still playing on the top line and top power play with Sidney Crosby. And with the Penguins pushing for a playoff spot here, Bryan Rust has been doing pretty well. And obviously Crosby's been doing great. So definitely someone who I like to have on my team, and he's going to continue to put 100% effort because he wants to make those playoffs. William Karlsson is a good add. He's playing on the 3rd line right now with Anthony Mantha and Pavel Dorofeev, and he's been doing pretty well. Tom Wilson, who's been playing top line and top power play with Alex Ovechkin, who's going off these days. Plus, Wilson puts up a pretty safe floor every night with those shots and those hits. He's definitely someone I like for Washington's 2 games this week. And next is my MANSAPED must-add player of the video, Tomas Hertl. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code word FANTASYTIPPED at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with the code word FANTASYTIPPED. Nothing like a little spring cleaning in your pants. Now, why is Tomas Hertl my Manscaped must-add player of the video? Because Tomas Hertl is an amazing hockey player. Super underrated dude. He's playing 2nd line and top power play with Chandler Stevenson right now. He's getting left wing deployment. I don't know if it's going to be just a matter of time before he shifts back to center, but it doesn't really matter. The dude is really talented, and already in his first game back, put up an assist. Definitely could be a huge difference maker for you if you want to add him even before the second half of the week, because Vegas has got a great schedule. So definitely someone you can consider adding. Basically, the second this video goes live, you definitely should consider adding him because he could be a huge difference maker for your team. Next, you got a couple of Calgary Flames, Andrei Kuzmenko and Yegor Sharangovich. They don't play on the same line together, but they do play on the top power play together. Kuzmenko's playing with Kadri and Pospisil, and Sharangovich is playing with Backlund and Coleman. Both these guys are doing really, really well right now and are both pretty good adds for the 2 games that Calgary plays this week. Juraj Slafkovsky has had an amazing season for Montreal this year. He's playing on the top line with Suzuki and Caulfield and has been putting up literally a point every single game, playing on the top power play with those guys as well. It's just a great deployment for Slafkovsky, and he's shown that he has a lot of talent this year. Definitely an excellent ad for you. Then we got Michael Bunting of the Pittsburgh Penguins playing on the second line with Evgeny Malkin, who's really hot right now, and he's also playing top power play right now for Pittsburgh. And even though Pittsburgh's power play isn't good, that's still, a good place to be. And Bunting has been really good for Pittsburgh. He looks really good on the ice, and the Pens are fired up to make the playoffs. So a couple games from Bunting this week could be really good for your fantasy team. Then Dakota Joshua of the Vancouver Canucks is actually playing on the second line right now with JT Miller, and as long as he's playing there, the dude's got value, and he's been playing really well. Not only does he put up a really safe floor with hits, he's been actually scoring goals lately, which is absolutely great to see, and definitely could be a good ad for Vancouver's 2 games this week. Adam Henrique is a really good ad this week for the 3 games that Edmonton plays. He's a super underrated player, currently playing with Nugent Hopkins and Fogle, and definitely could put up a few points in those 3 games that Edmonton plays this week. Much like I just talked about Dakota Joshua, Connor Garland's got the same deployment, playing on the second line with JT Miller, but he's also getting top power play time, and he's also been scoring goals. Definitely a great ad right now. The dude's hot, and he's got a great deployment. And we got Tyler Bertuzzi, who's still on the top line with Austin Matthews and Max Domi. And he did lose power play 1 with the return of Mitch Marner, but he didn't lose the top line spot, which is great to see. And as long as this dude's scoring goals and putting up points, he's definitely someone that can be in your lineup for Toronto's 2 games this week. Michael Granlund is top line and top power play in San Jose. And even though they're not a great team, he's putting up points almost every single game, which is great to see. We got Anthony Mantha, who's playing on a good line with Karlsson and Dorofeev, and he's super hot right now, only owned in 11% of leagues. Definitely could merit being added in more. And once again, guys, if you're watching this in part 1 of the week, I already had him in my waiver wire video last week, but he's someone who has a great schedule in part 1 of this week as well. So definitely someone you could be adding right now the second you watch this video instead of waiting for part 2 of the week to add him. Then we have Philip Kurashev of the Chicago Blackhawks, who's very hot right now, has been playing right wing almost the entire season with Connor Bedard, but for some reason never got right wing eligibility, just like Slafkovsky. So we could only hope and pray that he will get it this week, but I highly doubt it at this point. But he's been great, putting up almost a point every single game. And for Chicago's 2 games they play this week, definitely a good option in deep leagues. Same with Warren Fogle, playing on that second line right now with Henrique and with Nugent Hopkins, and just definitely opportunities for him to put up points over the 3 games that Edmonton plays. Remember, 3 games is more than any other team. Shane Wright is super hot right now. He's a little bit of a risky pick. He is playing right now, though, on the second line with Schwartz and Eberle, and is also on the second power play, but over the 3 games he's played has been really good, scoring goals, looking solid, putting up a decent amount of points. Definitely nice to see, and Shane Wright could be a sneaky good ad if you're in a deep league and could definitely help you with the 2 games he has this week. Then Ryan McLeod's playing on the third line in Edmonton right now with Evander Kane. It's not the best line, if I'm being totally honest with you, but if you're in a super deep league and you want someone that plays 3 games, McLeod could be a really good option because he definitely could score a couple of points. And Drew O'Connor is playing on the top line with Sidney Crosby, and the dude's actually been super hot, putting up points what seems like every single night. I actually like Drew O'Connor a lot if you're in a deep league right now. He's definitely someone who's a good ad for the 2 games that Pittsburgh plays. Jumping into defenseman, and first on the list is Mattias Ekholm, and I know he's a little bit higher rostered than I normally include in this list, but if he is available to you, he has been phenomenal over the past few weeks and has 3 games this weekend. Do not hesitate, add him. He is going to help you win the Fantasy Hockey Trophy. Noel Hannafin's been pretty good, getting some power play time, putting up some nice peripherals. Pretty good ad this week. Seth Jones as well has been one of the top 10 defensemen lately, putting up some decent peripherals, putting up points. good guy to be adding right now. Brock Faber's back on the top power play, and with the 2 games that Minnesota has this week, could be a solid add. Brayden McNabb is really good for that safe floor that he provides with the hits and the blocks and occasional points. He's definitely someone who's going to give you a safe floor. If you have a decent lead, Brayden McNabb could be a good option to just make sure that you hit some minimum amount of points and to make sure that you win the league basically at this point, which is awesome. And Ryan Pulock of the New York Islanders, another guy which is really a floor guy, could put up a point or 2 as well, but we'll put up a pretty safe floor over the 2 games that New York plays. Patterson is the same kind of thing, really a floor guy. He's going to get you plus minus hits and blocks. Don't expect really any points from him though. Simon Benoit of the Leafs is also a peripheral guy, mostly hits, some blocks, and some shots, but really, again, for Cats League or just for a floor. And Martin Fairbury has also been providing a decent floor lately since coming back from injury. Some shots, blocks, hits, occasional point. Definitely someone I don't absolutely hate adding right now. And then finally, Cody Ceci of the Edmonton Oilers. If you're in a super deep league and you want someone to give you a safe floor and they play 3 games, Cody Ceci is the guy to be adding right now, and honestly, he hasn't been too bad lately. Jumping into goalies, and I tried to include goalies that will at least play 2 games this week, or could potentially at least play 2 games this week. And first on the list is Logan Thompson of the Vegas Golden Knights. If Hill stays out, Thompson should get both Vegas games this week. Jacob Markstrom, I know he's been alternating lately with Wolf, but if he starts to play better this week that I'm recording this, he could potentially get both starts for Calgary. If not, he'll get 1. Fleury, Minnesota's situation is a little bit weird right now because they've got Gustafsson, Wallstedt, and Fleury all up right now, and they're all playing games. Wallstedt's coming off a shutout, so Fleury could get anywhere between 0 and 2 starts. It really depends how things shake up this week. If Fleury starts at some point this week and looks really, really good, he could get both starts to end the week. But who knows? It probably won't happen. He's definitely my least favorite option on this list. Casey DeSmith, as long as Demko's out, could get both starts this week. He's got to bounce back though from the last couple of starts. If he plays well in his next start, should get both starts this week. Grubauer could get both starts this week for some reason, even though Decourt has been playing pretty decently. They've started Grubauer now in 4 consecutive games, so a little bit weird considering that Grubauer has not been any better than Decourt, that they're not swapping them. But if this continues, Grubauer could get both games next week. If not, he'll get at least 1. Nedeljkovic will definitely get both games for Pittsburgh this week unless he really chokes a game or 2, but definitely is the guy right now and is a starter in Pittsburgh. Mrazek should get both games in Chicago as well. Chicago probably wants to end the season on a solid note, and playing their much better goalie is the way to do that. Varlamov has been playing more games than Sorokin at this point, and while I don't think he's going to get both games for the Islanders to end the season, he's probably going to get one of the 2 considering how much they're starting right now and how much he's outplaying Sorokin. And he's actually not even outplaying him that much lately considering Sorokin had a pretty decent last game or 2. But Varlamov is the guy they seem to be going with right now. Calvin Pickard was my Manscaped must-add player of the video last week because I think he may get 2 starts this week. He has a matchup against the San Jose Sharks, which is Edmonton's Monday game, and he might get the start for that because they may want to rest Stuart Skinner, and then they have a back-to-back set where he's definitely going to start at least one of the 2 games. Then Mackenzie Blackwood of the San Jose Sharks is the guy who they've been riding with for the past few games and should get both of San Jose's starts. Obviously more of a desperation ad here, but if you're in a points-based league or even a Cats league and there's nobody else, you could gamble on Mackenzie Blackwood and cross your fingers. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. If you enjoyed the content today, drop a like, hit that subscribe button. And honestly, guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart for tuning into this channel all year long. And I hope that you take home that fantasy hockey trophy and that this video helps take you over the top and it helps you win. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Fantasy Tipped.